Hey, what is up? We have another awesome Wednesday Masterclass. Wednesday Hangouts happen every week on the Off-World Live Discord, and once in a while we get someone awesome in to show us some of their skills. Anything to do with the Off-World Live toolkit or anything around it. This week we have Gloria the Animator, an amazing character creator, animator, 3D designer. She also runs her own art classes over Discord, so if you like what you see here and think you could learn more off of her, you can book her to teach you how to do it one-to-one. She's going to share with us some tips on creating your own custom characters with your own blend shapes and driving it just through a regular computer webcam. So she's going to take us through every stage on doing that. Let's get into it. Enjoy.
Okay, now we officially can get started, right? So, my setup includes very few things. Actually, that's a lie. It includes a lot of things. First of all, you do need to have nice hardware because, of course, running a webcam and 3D stuff while playing other 3D games and live streaming with OBS is quite heavy on your system. So, the hardware I'm using is a really nice model of an Acer Nitro 5 with an RTX 3080, a nice Ryzen CPU, and lots of RAM. Because as a 3D artist, RAM is good. It's very good. Please do not underestimate the power of RAM. So, yes, lots of 3D programs will require lots of resources. So, now, the software I am using for this is Blender to create the characters and the 3D meshes and the outfits. Faceware for taking the webcam data and converting it into shape keys and then streaming it to Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine basically takes those values and drives the animation, and you can see the physics on the hair and the chains. Those are rigid bodies. There's also some physics on the breast, which are jiggle bones. So I'm using quite a lot of like different methods to achieve the nicest result. So
Awesome. Really nice to be meshing a few things together.
yeah, it's like I usually have just a lot of programs open at the same time. But see, the way I started this project is because I was really sick and tired of those anime VTubers. Now, anime VTubers are very pretty, but I do think there's a bit too much of them to the point where people don't think they can do any other way than being a 2D character. And I think it's also quite possible and quite cool to be a 3D character, so I have found a way to do it. So the first thing you'd need to do this is, of course, some knowledge about how to create an appealing character. You can also hire other people, maybe myself. But yeah, thankfully I was able to learn my skill many years ago, so now I can do stuff now. This character was really fun to make, and it actually took me a long time because I was really struggling with how to sculpt her body because I wanted her to like represent me, right? And at first she was like looking a bit too buff and too strong, and in real life I consider myself to be quite petite and weak, so had to rework the body shape a couple times before doing anything else. The topology of this character has taught me a lot about how to do organic topology. So that, of course, helped me to become a better artist and teach more properly in my classes. Now, here's the cool trick about this character, right? So usually real-time engines skip a lot of stuff, right? So I kind of faked this vignette shadow on her eyes so they look more deep and stylized and nice. So let's take a look at this eye. This eyelash is pretty much just a plane with an alpha texture. The eye itself is going inwards with a nice texture, and in Unreal we have a little bit of an emissive map to add some more depth. And then on top we have just a simple sphere of glass, as you can see, just to get those nice glass refractions that real eyes have. Also, one thing, in Unreal Engine, glass refractions are a pain, so yeah, go at your own risk with this.
Runtime wise, for sure.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I wouldn't even say they impact performance too much, but I mean they do. But it's just like the way Unreal treats the refraction and IOR is not very ray tracy and really like faking it, which makes it really hard to get it to work. But I mean, Unreal Engine 5's coming out pretty soon, so we'll see how that works. Because that's using a bit more of an advanced real-time rendering system. So,
Yeah.
right. The cool vignette I did about the eyes is that Eevee is a real-time rendering engine as well, so it represents nicely how things are gonna look. So at first the character eyes were looking like this. See, I disabled the vignette and they look really flat and kind of unnatural. But as soon as you add some kind of shadow around the eye, it's beautiful. Now, the other interesting thing is that this vignette is a plane of its own, right? It's like this little curved bowl mesh. And I did it separately from the lens or the eyeball itself. So when I rotate the eye, it does not move. Because if it were to move, then the shadow would get weird. So, yeah. That's
really
some
good.
nice engineering.
Yeah, definitely.
There's
Definitely
also
like what you're saying
another.
about faking these things.
I also have another tip for rigging the eyeballs. At first, I rigged the eyes very simply, where I just, made the eyeball move and that's it. But then I figured out that the eyes look kind of stiff. How can I add more movement to them when I can't really add more shape keys because there's no more shape keys? Well, I added a bit of weight in rigging to the eyelid. So you can see when the eye moves, it naturally rotates very nicely. Now, one thing when doing this is that you want to add most weight in the middle top and middle down eyelid. Because if you add a bit too much weight here or in the inner corner, is kind of gonna move the whole skin around, which is not gonna look as natural. So mostly these two areas are gonna move.
Could
So.
we look at the weight painting for that to demonstrate
The
it?
weight painting. Yes. Let's take a
Really
look-see
cool.
at it. Been too long since I've used Blender, how I miss it. Yeah. I have a custom weight painting thing set up, but it's pretty easy to understand. White is basically no weight painting at all. Yellow is like maximum, and red is like sitting in the middle. So if we just hide the wireframe, you'll be able to see a bit more clearly. There is a slight bit of clipping going on, yes, I know, but it's mostly for the lens, so it's not too visible, and I can get away with it pretty easily. So yeah, that is the weight painting for it.
Super cool. Yeah.
Now, the hair was really a struggle, and I wish I've done it a bit differently because I don't have the patience to change it anymore. I wish I've added another bone here because, see, in Unreal, when I move, the hair jitters at the ends, right? And for my troubleshooting, it's on me. It's not on the engine, sadly. Because this top part of the hair, it just doesn't have enough bendability in it. So that's why it kind of happens. The chain's not that smooth. But I don't want to recreate a whole nother rigid body system in Unreal, so I'll just accept it. And it's okay because my character is going to have much more hairstyles and outfits, and, it's fine. So, yeah. For my material, it's really quite simple. It's the way I do most materials. Just a nice base color with subsurface, a little bit of metallic to give it that nice deep shine, low roughness, normal map, and an alpha map. Now the alpha map is smooth in terms that the opacity is it can be in the middle, which required me to enable tessellation, because somehow Unreal doesn't like to do that by default, which was quite annoying. I'll actually show you the hair material, because not a lot of people know this. Like, I was asking around a lot, how can I make my alpha map read the gray values, the in-betweens, and nobody could answer me. It was really hard to find this one node that allows your material to be in between. Though there is one tiny bug with this, is that it's kind of making stuff more noisy, so it's kind of rendering it, kind of like Eevee. So so you can see that in the big stuff, it's kind of like ghosting, because it is rendering samples this way instead of just slapping on and rendering it. But it is a small sacrifice to make for the greatness of this hair transparency.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point about that node that lets you get the grays. That's
Yeah.
super useful.
It's like, it was just like not looking right before that. Maybe if I made my alpha map a bit differently, it would do that, but I like those in-between values because they can make really nice stuff happen. Now, for more of the character, just have a bunch of shape keys, you know, your classic mocap setup, but these shape keys are a bit different than the ARKit shape keys, because keep in mind, I'm not using iPhone, XDepth, TrueDepth, or any ARKit stuff. I'm using Faceware, which supports and has a few different shape keys. So you can see they do move quite naturally. And a fun way I did this is I actually was like taking pictures of myself in idle face and then in that extreme shape key. And now my phone's filled with weird pictures. So
that's really fun.
Yeah. But hey, at least
Seeing
we
the
got the shape
collaboration.
keys to look nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
Now, would you guys like to talk about a bit the physics bugs that you will run into, that I have run into myself, and I cried many times? So,
Sounds good.
see, Unreal has a weird thing with reading bone hierarchies when you have rigid bodies enabled. Mainly, it hates when parent bone has more than 2 children. And what it does is it kind of snaps the child to the root of the parent, which can create all kinds of fuckery, and it's not fun. Wait, let me show you in a project that's not currently running. So this is the hair particles I have for this, the rigid bodies. And if you look at my hierarchy of bones, you see I have this like another secondary root bone that has the same root here. Do you know?
You're still on your main screen, so.
Oh, I am? Yeah, I'm on Blender. Can you see Blender?
Just getting your yellow background screen.
No!
It's alright, it's only for a couple of minutes.
Okay, that's good. Right.
It's live, we're live.
Yay, everything's working. So,
Cool.
Unreal really hates rigid bodies. Well, it doesn't. It just hates your bone hierarchy. Wait. Oh no, I broke it. That was the wrong file.
Snapping to the parent.
Yeah, it is snapping to the parent, which is really annoying. So this is my physics thing. It's quite simple, just a regular chain. But then if you look at the actual bones of it, we have this root bone that is basically acting as the head bone, because keep in mind these things are separate, so I can exchange them just by simply changing the skeletal mesh in Unreal. Now, without this bone, nothing would have worked. Because if I set this bone to be kinematic, it's gonna snap to the parent, which was weird. Or if I said these bones to be different, then they would, snap here, and it was a mess. But I found a way to fix it by using this. So this bone now snaps here, which is identical. It's the same location, which fixed everything. And everything was super nice after that. So
A good
that's
workaround for sure.
Yeah, that is
So
kind of all I have to say about the characters. There's a lot of shape keys, a lot of physics involved, but it's kind of simple. There's nothing like too complicated here, other than these things are separate, so I can change them for different stuff. Here's an unfinished haircut. So yeah. Now let's talk a bit more about the physics, because I'm actually super proud of how I figured out this one physic over here. Now that is the hat physic. This was awful, because remember when I said that Unreal hates when a bone has more than one child and just freaks out? Well, if you look at my bone hierarchy, this might look awful. And I know all you riggers are gonna flame me for this, but it works, and that's all I care about. So, first of all, we have, of course, our root bone here. Wait, let me just enable the actual bones so we can select them, right? So we have a root bone, and we have another root bone, because Unreal always makes a root bone. But the chain of this is actually very non-standard. So as you can see, it, goes around like a normal chain, and then there's this child bone that connects this end of the chain to this. Now, I was really overthinking when I wanted to make a chain, like a physical chain in Unreal, that is attached at both anchors. Because apparently all I had to do is set the end of the chain, the anchor bone, to be kinematic, right? To not move or have physics. And it just works. You see, I have this bone in the middle to be kinematic. And so I have this bone. And that's the simple part, really. Now, the bit more simpler part even is the Faceware Studio. This app is really nice. It does have some limitations compared to iPhone, but I will stand by my decision of never using any iPhones ever. So, I'm sorry you have to look at this character. I know he looks ridiculous. Here, much better. So, basically, this app is paid. It costs like 15 a month, and they will only sell you a yearly subscription. So yeah, that's a bit annoying, but it's still kind of cheaper than having an iPhone. So now it works really simply. I'm just gonna censor my camera a bit so you can see here. You usually have your camera, and if you click the calibrate button when you have a neutral face, it's gonna use that as a reference point for the mocap. So depending on what kind of face you make, it's gonna reference your movement differently. So it has, the 0, value face that it's referencing from, and then once you move, it connects the other values together, and it's super sweet. These things, they basically allow me to multiply the movement. So for example, if my eyebrows are not moving enough, I can just go in here and slide this value up, and it's going to multiply it in the Faceware engine, which is really good because that means I don't have to set it up in Unreal, which is a bit more annoying. So yeah. And, sorry. And the way we stream it is just, select your camera, stream to client, and it streams that right into your live link stuff here. You do have to install a plugin for this to work, but it's really quite simple. The only issue I had with this is that I was set to the default port, so it wasn't streaming to it. But then once I changed the port to something else, it was perfect. So, yeah.
So it's a faceware plugin for
Yeah.
live link for Unreal.
Yeah,
Basically.
pretty much. It's really simple.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
oh yeah, if you look at her eyes right now, you can see they're looking weird. Like when I zoom out. That's what I was talking about when Unreal Engine messes up your IOR settings. So, yeah.
Is that an LED thing?
Um,
Like you being a certain distance away from it makes it
I
render a
don't
lower
know why
LED?
it does that.
Mm.
It's, I don't know, it just like Unreal likes to treat glass IOR as completely different stuff. So, than Eevee. So like I don't really know how it works, but I kind of managed to calibrate it to look good enough on stream, so it works for me. So,
Yeah, awesome.
would you like to ask some questions? Do we have any
I think,
questions?
yeah, anyone chuck some questions in the voice channel notes.
Oh, I don't see much in the
Yeah, we
voice
got
channel.
voice channel notes. So.
But yes, if you have any questions,
Anything
do
on
ask
Twitch?
away. Oh,
Yeah.
also, let me show you a really cool thing I have actually implemented with the plugin of TwitchWorks. I'm actually using like 3 plugins for this project, which is, of course, the beautiful off-world transparency stuff for OBS. Because working with green screens is a pain, and I don't ever want to come back to that. So yeah, I love the way the plugin works. It's really nice for streaming. And of course, I'm using Faceware. And on top of that, I'm also using TwitchWorks to integrate the Unreal project with Twitch. So, if I go to my Twitch channel, chats, actually have on my channel redeems that basically allow things to change. So, depending on which number the viewer types, you can change the outfit. There's even a hat toggle right here. And I did this for funds where you can just take off the hair completely. Oh my god, I think it improves FPS so much. See? Tessellation's heavy on your system. It's running so much smoother now. But it's
Yeah,
also
well,
looking
yeah.
ridiculous, so I'll just get that back on. There we go.
We did have a question on the YouTube saying, are the hairs being individually animated? Which is something we did go through, and you catch it on the re-upload. But,
Yeah, the hair is being animated by a rigid body system, which is kind of simple, kind of complex. You just figure out the bugs and it just works. But
essentially made a squid of hair,
pretty much.
basically.
But
Yeah.
yes, one side of the hair in the front has 2 chains. The back has 4 chains, I believe. Let's see, if we look in Blender, you should be able to see this. Yeah. So that's the amount of bones I'm using. I do believe this is subdivided, so don't look at the top here. I tried to fix my mistakes, but I couldn't.
How do you get the bones to fall in a sort of natural physics kind of way? I've done stuff with like animating bones, but just giving them some
Well,
physics.
it just took a lot of messing and learning how to use rigid bodies because, see, one thing that happens in physics is, like the law of inertia or something, that if something has mass, energy, it will dissipate in some way or another. And in 3D physics, that's usually the function of drag. Sorry, I mean dampening. Dampening, right? So what dampening does is when you move things, it's not gonna infinitely have that amount of energy. It's gonna lose it. And for some reason, by default, dampening is disabled in Unreal, or at least set to a very low value, to the point where it's not doing anything. So I just changed up those values and made it work nicely. Oops, that's the wrong file. We have a lot of files in here. So basically, see here, I have set my linear dampening to be a value of 1.5 and angular to 1, and that's pretty much for most of these. And another thing is to avoid clipping, I actually limited rotations of the hair a bit. So you can see if I tilt very far, the top of the hair is not exactly going to fall down. And that is to help with clipping because those rigid body collisions don't do enough. So every bone is limited to move approximately like 5 to 20 degrees in each axis angle, except the twist angle because I don't want it to twist. That would be not nice.
Yeah. The same person said that they've seen issues with hair physics going wild and flying around.
Yeah,
Any common mistake that causes that? I guess
it's
that's the
not
clipping, isn't it?
perfect, but it's nice. We do have some jittering due to my bone setup being a bit lazy. And sometimes it freaks out because sometimes it loses capture data. Like, let's say I'm holding my face, it will go crazy. Because remember, I'm not using an iPhone. And iPhone, what it does, it uses 3D imaging. And I'm using a webcam, which is just a 2D image. So I'm a little bit of a disadvantage, but I am at an advantage of not having to use an Apple product. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. I was interested about the face mocap actually. Is that
Yeah,
is
it's a
that
weird
something
thing.
you do you have to collaborate that by sort of selecting points on your face
Oh
for the
no,
webcam
no.
to pick
My
it up?
my face is bare other than me having some makeup on my eyebrows cuz I need to darken them a bit so it mocaps even better. But other than
So
that, it's nothing. I just have like a little like hair holder so my hair doesn't censor my face and contact lenses so the glasses don't interfere with stuff and just to darken my eyebrows a bit so they can be a bit more visible to the webcam. And
and so
that's
the software
really it.
just and the software just recognizes that there's a face there,
Yeah.
sort of.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I also have a little portable LED light thing above my laptop's webcam just to light up my face evenly in a diffused manner so it looks like a nice flat image cuz you should not have hard shadows cuz otherwise the software is just going to go crazy. So, yeah.
Ooh, cool. Yeah,
Also, a
interesting.
funny thing is this light was way too bright for my eyes to the point where it stung my eyes. So, guess what I did? I put a piece of toilet paper over the light to diffuse it and reduce its brightness a bit so my eyes don't hurt when I'm streaming. I have no idea
Amazing.
how those streamers that have those big lights in front of their faces do this because those are very bright. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you have like a bit of body movement going on as well, don't you?
Oh,
Is that literally
right.
from the
Yeah, the interesting thing about the body movement is it's fake. It's completely fake. It's actually controlled by my head. So the body
very nice.
is moving because I'm moving my head. It cannot move individually because as you kind of see here the mocap software just ends at the neck pretty much. So it doesn't have any data beyond that. Um, if anybody knows how to program stuff in Unreal, I do want to find a way how to integrate Media Pipe by Google to have hand mocap because I think Leap Motion kind of gives you shitty results. So hopefully I can figure out how to implement Media Pipe into Unreal eventually. And I'm also gonna look into this Japanese tool called Free Mocap, which basically allows you to just 3D print a paper and is gonna like do like ARKit and calculate your movement very nicely. And the results I've seen from these webcam solutions are amazing, right? We used to be in the olden days of putting trackers everywhere and stuff. But
Yeah.
these days we're just abusing the shit out of AI technology. So yeah,
Does
no
make
need
it
for
way more
suits and
DIY, doesn't it?
trackers.
Yeah.
Mm. The trackers and
Yeah,
suits can
really.
be a bit more accurate, but hey, the more computing we get, the better the AI is gonna get. So it's good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That is such a cool idea about doing a bit of a. Is it like an inverse kinematics thing on your to like when you move the
Um,
neck?
it's
Or
actually
the
really
same.
simple. I can show you the mocap blueprint I have because this is all powered by the animation um, thing. Here's an artistic nudity warning because this is a base mesh. So, this is disgusting to some of you. I know it does look like a server room in here, but it's fine. It's fine. It works. So the event graph is quite simple if you ignore this. Basically, we just have whatever LiveLink told me to do to get it to work. They actually have a really nice documentation. Faceware. They have good documentation on their site. And they basically just give me this giant structure of constantly changing variables on every frame. And I just take those and I do stuff with them. Now,
Oh, nice.
this part right here, this is for interpolation. Okay? So, I did this to interpolate my head and body movement a bit, so it's a bit more smoother and less jittery, so physics will freak out a bit less. And this is a thing for the eyes, because even with contact lenses, if we change this power curve to 0, oh wait, I think I broke it. Okay, there we go. So, if we set this to a linear value, pretty much, sometimes the eyes are just gonna look sleepy all the time. So that's because, the value just goes from like 0 to 1 to like 0.5, and it's quite linear. So I basically am using this to make it only close the eyes above a certain threshold, but like in a smooth way, because this math node is really goddamn cool. Highly recommend. All right. Yeah, seems to be set to normal
Nice.
now. And yeah. It's
Cool. So for the body movement, that was just kind of a bit of a trial and error of like,
yeah,
if
the
I
body movement is
take the input.
just powered by the head.
Yeah,
It's do you see all
really cool.
this stuff here? I know many of you will cringe, but I don't care about how this looks, okay? Because I can always hover over these and just see where this wire leads to, basically, which is very useful. So, this here, wait, which one was it? Actually have an interpolation value for each one of these. So here we have our power curve, then how much the eyes interpolate. And I believe these are the main values. But yeah. Okay, so these values, right? These are very important because they allow me to change the percentage influence of each one of these just with one value. Because let's say the head was moving a bit too much, right? And I would like to soften the movement. Well, then I'd probably have to change each one of these individually one by one and reduce them. But instead, I have made a scale value. So let's say we scale this to 5. You can see the head's gonna move quite a lot. A bit too much for any normal person. And come on, this is just ridiculous.
Be a
So,
fun Twitch chat input.
yeah. Oh, that'd
Crazy
be a
head.
fun idea. Wait, oh no, let me reset it. I didn't see which value was it originally, because using a computer with lenses is a bit difficult. Let's see. Set it to 1. Okay, that looks good. So, yeah. So, I just have a bit of, rotation nodes here, a bit of movement as well. So when I move my head left, the whole root moves a bit. You can probably see that. Yeah. So it moves a bit left and right, and that just adds quite nice movement stuff. So even though I don't have any fancy inverse kinematics or any fancy actual body mocap, it looks pretty good. And oh, the hair flipped back. That's nice.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice, really convincing effect for sure.
Yeah.
Having the
Because
body moved
like
like that.
I tell you, 100% VC Face is doing the same thing. It's just based on your head position. Because the body
Yeah,
does not move
yeah,
individually there either. So,
yeah. Super cool, super cool.
are there.
I'd be really interested to know about like the actual process of making the different blend shapes. I don't know if that's
The
something
blend
you
shapes.
want to look at. Yeah,
Oof, that's a long journey. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I can tell you about the blend shapes. Could you tell me
Do you
how
make
much
them in
time we
Blender?
still have?
We have up to 25 minutes, I guess,
Oh,
if
that's
you
sweet.
like. But I know
All
it's a bit
right.
later for you there, so
Oh, it's fine. It's
you've
not
gone through
too
so much
late.
of us already.
So, making the blend shapes was a new thing to me. Even though I've been making characters for a while, it was something new because see, I never really cared too much about my blend shapes because I usually wasn't the one to rig the characters, just to model them. But on this one, I knew that if I mess up those blend shapes, my character is gonna look really bad and really uncanny. Because the the facial movement and the way it stretches and deforms, humans are really sensitive to the way that looks. So if you get it wrong, it's not gonna work. That's why earlier I mentioned I was taking pictures of my face from idle to the extreme position in all angles to kind of have a nice reference point on how it should look. And what I find out is the human face is really weird. For example, where is it? The kissy expression. That one is a real annoyance to do because when we do this, right, we actually like roll out our lips forward.
Mm.
So the lip that's usually inside will be a bit more visible from the outside. You've probably seen like women who have a lot of lipstick on. You're gonna see that like difference in color. They have too much lipstick on. So it was really hard to get it to like work right. Because that meant that I had to take every vertex and actually like rotate it properly to get that to
Yeah.
work. Kind of like that. Just doing a bunch of stuff and
Yeah.
making stuff happen.
That's an awesome one.
Right. Now, the best tips I would give anyone for making shape keys, if you're using Blender, that is, I don't know how it is for other softwares, I never used them. But you have to both abuse the individual vertices select in edit mode and like the mass like adjustments in sculpt mode. So let's make a little shape key here, okay? For a little practice demo. So let's make the like shape key. Where the jaw is open and we have stuff to work with. So first thing we'd need to do is to know what's actually happening there because when we of course open our mouths, our jaw drops. Like the skeletal bone of the jaw just rotates and you have to know from which point it actually rotates. Because if you don't, it's gonna look uncanny. I'm telling you, you gotta get every single angle just right. And the in between, too. When I was making these shape keys, I was actually working quite a bit on the in between movements, too, to see if there's no clipping, if they were looking natural. Because,
Oh wow. So it's not just
Yeah.
like from close to open,
Yeah.
it's like mid-open
Yeah,
as
the,
well.
the
Yeah.
mocap captures mostly those in-between values, so they're very important. But of course, I had to follow the documentation, which had like the maximum value. So, first of all, there's a lot of features you can use in Blender. So, I like to use my favorite grab tool, which basically allows you to mass grab vertices and kind of just move them around, which is so helpful. And some of my students even sculpt purely using this, and you shouldn't exactly sculpt only using this tool, but I mean, if it works, it works. I'm not the one to judge, even though I am, because I'm the teacher. But yeah. So we basically, you want to move the cheeks down a bit, and now you want to see how it actually moves. So now it just kind of looks like it's going down, right? So if the jaw is anchored at this point, it should rotate a bit backwards too. So let's push it in a bit. And would you look at that? Now it looks a bit more natural. If we look at the actual shape key I made for reference, it does exactly that. See? It moves backwards because the jaw is anchored somewhere here in this realm of abyss. You can basically see it from most views. Also, another very important thing is getting the silhouette right. I always think about silhouettes. Most people think of silhouette as just like, like the outer one, but there's actually inner silhouettes too that you have to be aware of as an artist, otherwise you will not get your things right. So you can see that this point here is moving a bit more backwards than this one. And that is very realistic. That's exactly how things work. But most people, they would just make it be like that, straight and stuff, and that doesn't look as natural, and it does look quite uncanny. So if you were to mess it up like that, it would impact a lot the quality of your mocap performance. Not because your software is bad, not because your facial movement is bad of you as a person, but because your 3D character simply moves their muscles incorrectly. I know that in Hollywood, when they're making like 3D stunt doubles for the actors, like in Battle Angel Alita, the main character is completely in 3D, but they were mocapping the facial movement from the actress herself. But they actually reference the actress for the character, and that's very often happening when you're doing hyper-realistic characters, is that you usually want to reference all the facial movements and all the textures from a person who's already there, because well, that's just going to make it look natural, right? Every person has different shapes and different placements of muscle, slightly different strengths of it, so you want to make sure that it matches up, so it just looks more accurate. And that's how they made Battle Angel Alita look so realistic. And the CGI is great, but the story sucked. So that's my short movie review.
And you said you actually took all those photos of yourself for reference.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I didn't do it for all of them because I did get lazy as I went along. Because I mean, come on, look, this is a lot of shape keys.
Yeah. How many have you got there?
I
30 or
think
something?
I think there's like 32 shape keys in total for this software. There is a few limitations here with this mocap that I want you to warn people about, but you should still not buy an iPhone because I don't like them. So basically, one thing is the software actually outputs only one eye movement value, and that is for both eyes. So you can see I'm just plugging in the same variable into both eyes. I mean, we can even find it. See, it's going into 2 points.
Right.
So you basically cannot have cross-eyedness in this program. And doesn't have some of the more advanced shape keys, like, you know, tongue out that iPhone supports. But the cool part is it just works based off your webcam. So you can have it all on just one system. Like, I practically don't need anything else to get this to work. The only things I'm using is to kind of help it and assisting it, like, you know, having some light or some makeup to help it read better. But it would work just almost as well if I didn't have those things.
And you're on a laptop as well, right?
Yeah, I
So
am on
it's
a
literally just
laptop. I mean,
one piece of kit.
this
Yeah.
is technically considered a desktop replacement, but I mean, I'm a big fan of laptops. I know they're not as good as desktops, but it's only because they have bad airflow, okay? Water cooling laptops are coming out in a couple of years, and I've seen them. They're amazing, and they're finally gonna beat desktops. So, but yeah, it is a very powerful laptop I have, so it works well. But, you know, it's like it's not over the top. This is actually fairly optimized. You could do this on a lower end system, on a lower end laptop, as long as everything works and nothing crashes. Though you might just have, you know, higher GPU temperatures, which will wear it down a bit, and that's about it, really. It's all about the efficiency.
Do you use a like a Wacom tablet or a
Oh
you know
yes,
like a
I do.
drawing
When I'm working, if any of you have ever visited my streams, you're gonna know that I mostly do Blender work and commissions and animations on stream because I like to share with people how I make my money, I guess. And it's fun to stream those things. So yes, I use my tablet to navigate Blender. You can probably even hear the clicks of the tablet pen. And the one I'm using is the cheapest Vacuum Intus. It's very small. It's not a display. It's very portable. It's very small and it's very nice. I never had another tablet. I just keep buying this same model and over again because it just serves me well. So why should I upgrade? It does everything I need it to. And the nice thing is that it has two buttons, which is perfect for the mouse. So you have your, you know, first button for left click. Then I have my, sorry, I mean just the tap of the tablet. You have that for your left click. Then I have the first button that's activated by my pointing finger, I believe that's what it's called, to act as a middle mouse. And then the one above it as a right click. So I have the whole mouse in just the pen itself, which allows for very easy navigation. I actually think that Blender is a bit comfier to use with a tablet than a mouse, but that also might be because I'm not a very efficient mouse user since I don't use them much.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. I had a laptop with a touchscreen. I didn't really even know. I
No.
didn't think about it at all. And then like
Oh,
my
man.
girlfriend just leaned over and just touched the screen and like rotated the 3D model, and I was like, oh my god, I can just
Oh,
like
that sounds.
rotate this with my fingers.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that does seem really great. I wonder how would
yeah,
Blender work with touchscreen devices. But from what
yeah.
I know, usually touchscreen computers are lower spec since the touchscreen requires a lot of power.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. It's
Because when I
even
have
if you have a
lying around, I
display
have to,
tablet plugged in,
mm,
they use a lot of power. So like this Vacuum Intus that I have, like if you're a hardcore laptop user like me, this thing is amazing because I just have it like right under my laptop, right next to me, right here. I can both reach the keyboard and the tablet at the same time. It's so comfy, it's so compact, especially as a tiny person. It's awesome. I love this tiny tablet from Vacuum. 10 out of 10.
mm.
Here's another review you forced me into.
Yeah, really cool.
Mm.
I might have to try it out. It's a
Mm.
cool one.
Yeah, Vacuum makes
Yeah.
great products. The best part is you don't have to charge
Mm.
the pen. Unlike other
Yeah,
companies
nice.
out there.
I've seen people using the really fancy ones where it's like got the display on it
Yeah.
and
I'm personally
nice.
not a fan of display tablets. I gave them a bit of a try, but just my hand obscuring the screen is too irritating and I refuse to get used to it.
Yeah. It's for me it was kind of like lack of like resistance drawing. I think that's why I never really went on to Wacom from like pencil drawings. You just
Yeah.
didn't feel like any kind of
Indeed,
scratch or
nothing
anything.
will be traditional.
Yeah.
It does
Unless
have
they make
this
like a
charm.
slightly spongy version.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Just gonna have a little scour around for any more questions, but
yes,
I
are there more
think like
questions? I look at Discord. Leap motion are solid. What I have iClone. Oh yeah, I think iClone and Faceware might be owned by the same people because it seems their system is pretty much identical, so that's like a thing I'm assuming. I don't know for sure, but pretty sure it's the same company. Though you should
does
confirm it
look a
on
lot like an
Google because I'm
iClone.
talking
But
out of
yeah.
my ass right now.
So I recognize the character model as well. It looks like the same
Mm.
like standard character model, maybe.
I
Yeah, that's
made this
interesting.
whole character from scratch, but yeah, I think they do use the same character in iClone and Faceware.
Yeah,
I really don't know
the
what's the
guy.
difference between those programs. I didn't look into iClone. Oh well, I already paid for Faceware. Might as well stick with it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, I was gonna ask you actually, have you ever made like a non-human character with this live
Non-human
input?
character.
Yeah, like a crocodile or something, but with this face, with the blend shapes and things. You
Oh
ever
no, never.
tried
The
that?
only
No.
non-human things I have made were like little one-time renders. So I didn't really do that, but I mean, if someone provided me with a nice concept art, some nice drawn expressions, you could easily get that going. I mean, you can have any mesh for this, any texture. I was actually thinking, on my stream, I have a little voice mod redeem. Wait, I think someone joined my redeems. Right. What was I saying?
A voice mod.
Ah, yes. Thank you. So right on my channel, I have a little voice mod redeems, which like basically that turns me into a demon or like into a robot or something. I was actually thinking when that redeem gets activated to like swap out this mesh of the main body to like maybe Goblin Gloria or like AI Gloria when the voice
Yeah,
mod is
that'd be super
active.
good.
That'd be pretty fun to
Yeah.
do, but that does require me to kind of rework this model right there, which
Yeah, potentially
yeah.
making 30 blend shapes
I have I mean
for
I
another.
could recycle the blend shapes because I could just like move this around here and there,
Yeah.
change the textures, and that's it. The blend shapes would stay the same, but it
Cool.
it would be extra work, and some of you might know my hand is currently not working very well, and I'm still finishing my old commissions, so I don't have much time for personal projects. I should have made this VTuber like 2 years later, but I just really wanted to get it done, and I'm glad I did. It's not final yet, but it works pretty nicely.
Really nice. Really nice. And thank you so much for showing us through it. I really appreciate being able to look at this. Hopefully it's like inspired some people to get into it.
Yeah, because it's really easy. You don't need to go out of your way to buy an iPhone for this. Just just do a bit of research and you can find multiple methods to do this. So, yeah, do not resort to VC Face if you don't want to, because there are better options out there, which are a bit more less user friendly. Because I mean, I did have to set up all of this myself, and VC Face is quite simpler than this. But I think the results are really worth it. Because they're just so cool.
And the total customization. That's such a
Oh
key
yeah,
thing
you can
for me, I think.
customize this as much as you want. Like I can integrate all kinds of stuff into this project. I could integrate different mocap systems, like anything. Anything is possible because Unreal is a programming tool and it's basically just an interface for you to create things rather than VCFace just being a software that does one thing and nothing else. So the possibilities are endless.
If you can get to grips to the programming, you can do anything you want.
Yes. Thank God Unreal Engine's
Absolutely.
programming is easy. I never did written programming, but Unreal blueprints are quite simple. As long as you kind of look it up what things do, you can understand it, of course. I do recommend having prior 3D knowledge on how computers work, since it does help a bit. But, I mean, with time, you can learn anything.
Yeah, for sure. I guess Sem said a couple weeks ago, like blueprints are kind of like just sketching. It's just code, but in sketch
it's so
form.
easy
It's
to
a really
like
nice way
make
to think
stuff
about
up in Unreal. I love it. It's so
it.
easy to do stuff.
Yeah. Easy for some. And hopefully, for people that are just starting out, these sort of videos will be really useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, also, may I shamelessly self-plug my Blender classes?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
here comes the final credits ending of shameless plugs here. Have a Twitter, Gloria Animator. I post cool stuff there. Have a Discord server somewhere you can join in and find. Of course, I have my own Twitch channel, Gloria The Animator, which is quite connected to this stream already. And I also do private Blender classes through Discord. So if you want to learn this stuff, you can contact me and we can set up the date, the payment, and get you started and make your knowledge grow really fast. Because some people are just so much better at learning when they have someone next to them, like kind of explaining them the ropes and how this stuff works. Because tutorials teach you only the very, very basics, and it's really hard to find more technical, in-depth knowledge these days. So yeah. Also, my private classes are only 10 euros per hour, so that's
Really nice. Really nice. Yeah, I definitely think that's a really good way to learn because you can just be like, I have this question. What does this button do?
Yeah, you can
What does this
just
do right
the
here? And it's
teacher's
like,
right there on the voice call. You can ask them anything.
yeah,
It's
and you kind of learn
awesome.
your way. Yeah.
My teachers, oh sorry, my students are like learning 3 times as fast as I was self-learning through like YouTube and forums and experimenting. Like they're gaining that knowledge much faster. So
Definitely.
it's a really good boost to them, and I'm proud of what they're making. Though they're gonna get better and better. And then
Really cool.
they
Really
will
cool.
one day leave me. Because they'll be too good.
Go off into the world of 3D animation. Is this over Discord as well, your classes?
Yeah, I just do them through Discord,
yeah.
I screen share, they screen share, and we just kind of like do stuff. I mostly focus on character creation for movies and games, since that's what I specialize in. If you've ever seen my portfolio, you could tell. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's super nice. Super cool. I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for showing us
Well,
this
thank you
stuff.
for
And
having me. If you ever want, I can come again sometime.
Awesome.
With some
It's been great
updates.
fun. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, everyone, please do check out Gloria's stuff. It's really awesome. I think what I'll do now is just switch this voice channel so everyone can chat. If people do want to hang out, they can. Or
I think I'll stay for a bit, but yes, let us officially
yeah.
end.